which doesn't mean if you have no, that you discard hope, which means that you understand the movement of time. If you discard hope, then you become bitter. Huh? Then you say, why should I live? What's the purpose of life? And all that nonsense begins. Depression, agony to live without anything in the future. You understand all this? So one has to go into this question, not verbally, not theoretically, but actually, to find out psychologically in yourself if you have the slightest sense of tomorrow. The next question in meditation is, whether thought as time can stop. Thought, as we talked about a great deal about it, is important. Important in its right place. But it has no importance whatsoever psychologically. I wonder if you see this. Which I must go briefly into it. Thought is the reaction of memory. It's born from memory. Memory is experience. Experience as knowledge stored up in the brain cells themselves. You can watch your own brain. You don't have to become a specialist. I'm not. I'm just observe myself very carefully. The brain cells hold this memory. It's a material process. There's nothing sacred, nothing holy about it. And everything that we have done, going to the moon, planting a silly flag up there, going down to the depths of the sea and living there, thought has created all this, the immense, complicated technology and its machinery. Thought has been responsible for all this. Thought has been also responsible for all wars. Right? It's obvious, you don't have to question it. Because your thought has divided Britain, France, Germany, Russia. And thought has created the psychological structure as the me. Right? That me is not holy, something divine. It is just thought putting together the anxieties, the fears, the pleasures, the sorrow, the pain, the attachments, the fear of death. It has put all this together, which is the me. It is this me with its consciousness. Right? Wonder. May we proceed from there? You're following all this? This is me, this consciousness. This consciousness is what it contains. Consciousness, your consciousness, is what you are. It's your anxieties, your fears, your struggles, your wounds, your psychological despairs, pleasure, and so on. The content of your consciousness is its content. right? Again, there's nothing to be argued, made difficult. It's simple. And that is the result of time, right? I've been hurt yesterday. Psychologically, you said something brutal to me. It has wounded me and is part of my consciousness. I've had pleasure as part of, and so on. So, consciousness is involved in time. When we say, can time end, it implies the total emptying of this consciousness with its content. Doesn't it? It implies that. Whether you can do it or not, that's a different matter. But it implies that when we are inquiring into time, whether the innumerable layers of this consciousness, sensation, desire, and all, layer after layer, the whole structure of it, whether that consciousness, which is the result of time, yesterday I was hurt, and so on, whether that consciousness can empty itself completely, therefore time psychologically ends. I'm putting first this question for you to look at. Then we can ask, is it possible? Do you understand my question? You're aware of your consciousness, aren't you? You know what you are, if you've gone into it sufficiently. At least for the last week you might have done it somewhat. But if you've gone into it, you will see all this travail, all this struggle, all the misery, uncertainty is part of you, part of this consciousness. Your ambitions, your greed, your aggressiveness, your anger, your bitterness, all that is part of this consciousness, which is the accumulation from 1,000 yesterdays to today. And we're asking whether that consciousness, which is the result of time, psychological as well as physiological, can empty itself so that time has come to an end. You understood the question first? Huh? Please, somebody say yes or no. Please. Don't go to sleep. We're going to find out that it is possible. If you say it is not possible, then you'll close the door. Then you might just walk out. Don't sit here and waste your time. If you say it's not possible. And if you say it is possible, you have also closed the door. But as if you say, let's find out, then you are open to it. You are eager to find out. Right? This is not an intellectual game. This is not an entertainment on a Sunday morning. This is not a sermon either. I must tell you a lovely story about it. There was a preacher with his disciples, and every morning he used to give a sermon. About 10 minutes, quarter of an hour. And all the captive audience listened to him. And one day, he gets on the rostrum and begins, just about to begin. A bird comes along, sits on the windowsill, and begins to